Welcome to the Ecomminsiders podcast. My name is Debbie, and this event is being sponsored by SPCTEK. Today's guest is Chad Rubin. He leads Profasee's operations and oversees its strategy. He often speaks about e-commerce, Amazon, and leveraging AI strategies on webinars and conferences worldwide. He's also the author of the Amazon bestseller, Cheaper, Easier, Direct. Prior to Profasee, he founded Think Crucial and co-founded Skubana and The Prosper Show. He is a father, a husband, and he loves coffee and tacos. Welcome, Chad.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Debbie.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. Today we're going to really dig into the art and science of pricing on Amazon. But before we do that, I kind of want to do a little bit of ice breaking where the audience gets to find out a little bit more about you. Tell me a little bit about Profasee and what you do as a company.
Yeah, so to put it very simply, we're like Uber surge pricing for Amazon brands. So if you ever take an Uber or if you ever book on Expedia, they change prices dynamically based on other market signals and factors to make them as much money as possible. And that is precisely what we do. And we offer that for the first time ever to Amazon brands, private label brands that sell direct to consumer on Amazon where they don't have any buy box conflict to help maximize their intention to make more profit.
And so what inspired you to start the company?
Well, I've been in the e-com space for a long time. I've been, as you can tell with the hair loss here, I've got about 20 years on me in e-com. I started off with my own e-commerce business where we made vacuum filters, coffee filters. That's Think Crucial. Then they came up as an opportunity to create a software called Skubana, order management inventory software. Sold that along with the Prosper Show, co-founded that with 3 other people. We sold that. And as I was working on just working back on my e-com company, I was like, wait a minute. Everything is becoming more pressured in Amazon right now, right?
Yeah.
PPC inflation, salary inflation, China coming in, things are getting more competitive. Things just aren't the way they used to be. And so I was doing all these things that the gurus were telling me to do. I was like, hey, you know what? I want to optimize my PPC. I want to get my listing to optimize. And that just didn't actually put more food on the table for me. So one day I'm in my backyard. I live here in Miami. And I said, why do we never change price? Pricing is the biggest lever you can be pulling. And all those changes that you make drop to the bottom line. So we launched Profasee. Let's see, I sold Skubana in April of 21, launched December of 2021. I raised $2.4 million on this idea around dynamic pricing for Amazon brands. And here you are 3 years later, and we're kicking butt and taking names and showing at least a 10% profit lift for the brands that we're managing.
Yeah, I would say that as we get deeper into the show, people are going to start to really understand the dynamic pricing and why it's so important. And there aren't enough people who are talking about it because of Amazon's algorithm and bestseller rankings. It's vital.
Mm-hmm.
What's your long-term vision for your company?
Long-term vision. Well, right now, anytime I'm building something, I think about how do I help the people that we're serving, the brands, flourish? How do I help them make more money? And so we're doing something that's very different than most softwares. Most softwares just give you a software and they say goodbye. And you can still be a fool with a tool. You would still just be a fool. So we're a software with a service. So we provide a software with a service to sell an outcome. And I think that's really the differentiation and the secret sauce is that other softwares just sell efficiency. Like, hey, here's a dashboard of your profit. Okay, great. But with the future of Amazon specifically and the future of AI, I believe that all softwares are going to actually have to replace labor over time and actually sell effectiveness. And that is what I'm betting on right now.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Chad, Profasee is spelled Profasee. If you want to go take a look and find out a little bit more about the company, we're going to jump really quick into really some fundamental pricing questions for Amazon. How do you think Amazon sellers should determine the optimal price for their products?
Well, Well, it's actually quite hard to do that, which is why Profasee exists. But if you were going to do it, let's just talk about how people do it today. How do
Okay.
Amazons price their product today? Let's start there. Right now, brands, they look at the marketplace. Your garlic press, you see what everyone else is offering for, and you copy the price of the brand that probably actually copied their price. Maybe you go slightly lower to become competitive, but the big secret is that those competitors that you're copying are broke. And so then the question is like, well, why are you copying them? And so most brands have no idea what the right price is because there's a second order of magnitude. There's a second order of consequence that happens when you make a change to price. And that is if you change price, you run the risk of actually impacting your BSR.
Yes.
Now, so the right way to do it is to, and I'm going to set the record straight here, and I want to be abundantly clear. Your rank will not plummet if you're consciously and making smart price adjustments. And so the way that you should be making adjustments is understanding, first of all, like the way I was doing before I started Profasee was I had a spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet, which I can give away to people that are listening, if you email me, chat@profasee.com, that's my personal email address, I will send you the spreadsheet that I use. It's pretty much a pricing framework that allows you to really master conscious and smart price changes. So the idea is that you want to understand how do customers react to those price changes? How does Amazon.com react to those price changes?
Yes.
And how do your competitors react? And you need to start building a muscle to do that. And that muscle starts with actually with the spreadsheet that I'm sharing. Right? And that allows you to really connect the dots. Now it's a lot of dots to connect, which is why our software makes it so much easier. But if you are going to do it, right, and you're going to do it manually and make changes to prices manually, there's a spreadsheet that has every single signal you would want to look at. So it has your BSR this year versus last year, what your price is, what is your intention for this SKU, or do you want to profit maximize or do you want to maximize revenue? I can keep going on and on. I want you to guide the
Yeah.
conversation, but this is where I would start testing and understanding what happens when you make a change to price.
Yeah. Thanks, Chad, for that, because I do think that people don't take into consideration even the fact that, look, are we trying to go for velocity here? Or what are we trying to achieve with pricing? Because everybody just thinks, well, I'm just trying to sell, right?
Yep.
So I think that that's a really good point to bring up, that you have to think about, what are we really trying to go for? Are we trying to go for profitability? Are we trying to go for sales? What are we trying to do? We're trying to move the bestseller rank. What are we trying to do? So talk a little bit about how dynamic price can actually help to maximize some of the revenue.
Yeah. So what we do at Prophecy, which is fairly complicated, the first thing that we do is we suck in 10 times the amount of data than any other platform.
Mm.
So we're ingesting patterns and trends, correlations that are really naked to the invisible eye. And so we suck in all this data. And on top of that, we go out and find your competition because you can't make a change to price in a category without understanding how does your competition react. So we go ahead and start pulling in competitors' price, their inventory, their BSR, their quality of the reviews, the quantity of the reviews. We even enrich it with their revenue and their velocity. So that's how we start. It comes into the platform. So we go back 2 years on Seller Central. We go back 3 months on Amazon advertising platform through the API. But the next test is super interesting. So I don't know if you spend time on Netflix. I can use Netflix as an example. I think that's probably a good one. Like my wife loves rom-coms, but if she never went on Netflix, a fresh account, Netflix wouldn't know what to serve her. So they might give her horror movies. They might give her stand-up comedy, which is what I like. And so there's a problem with most brands. They never change price. So there's this cold start problem that happens. When a brand doesn't adjust their pricing often, you're missing interaction data. You're missing clicks and purchases. So what we do in the first 30 days is we do something called hyper learning. This is when we essentially are price testing at scale between a -5 to +5% bounds to see how your competitors, how Amazon, and how your customers react to price changes. After that, the model is fully ready to roll. And now we've got it trained where it'll start moving into the optimization phase to scan for price discrepancies on your listings and identify those arbitrage opportunities so we can deliver more money into your pocket.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I think when you start talking dynamic pricing, it scares people, because I think they're like, well, I have no control, you know.
Yeah. Can I
And
address that? That's
yes,
probably one thing I
please.
probably should have addressed is that in our platform, you put in your boundaries. You put in your bumper guards, you put in your parameters. So you put those into the platform and then our platform operates within those boundaries. So you can put in your risk profile, you can put in your bestseller badge, you can put in do you want to optimize for gross profit or net profit? So you can set it all up. You can put your ceiling price in and your floor price. You put all of that in, and then that just informs our model on how to operate.
So I don't think other people really understand this, and I'm hoping you can speak to it. What is the impact of pricing on Amazon's search algorithm? How can pricing assist somebody there?
So essentially, if you think about Amazon, and I hate to use this word, but you have the flywheel effect, right? If you give Amazon what it wants, it gives the customer what it wants, but it also gives you, the brand, what you want, which is more discoverability and more brand and more awareness. And so we have examples, countless examples, where we can go in, and I'm happy to share it. I can even do a live example right now. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Let's do it.
Amazing, amazing. So here's a customer, current customer. His name is Mina. He's on Amazon. He sells these supplements. So if you look here, this is his red is profit of this year. Blue is profit of last year. And this is our price changes down below. We're dynamically rotating price within his boundaries uh, every single day to capitalize and find inefficiencies that we can exploit and deliver him financial gain. Now, you asked specifically about ranking position. So I'm going to actually
Yeah.
pull up his SKU on Amazon. We're going to do a live breakdown. And we're going to go here down below. I don't know if you're familiar with keepographs, but
Yeah,
they're pretty
sure.
awesome. So pink is price. And so like most brands, like I mentioned, they never change price. Very rarely, right? You have a change here. Maybe it's a deal. It's probably a deal. But most people are running deals willy-nilly. They don't even know their intention of why they're running deals anymore. So now we started here, and you can see here we start dynamically rotating price. Now I want you to pay attention to the green line, which is his BSR. What happens? It significantly drops. Now,
Mm.
your head's probably scratching saying, wait a minute, I was told that price changes would affect my BSR negatively, and here I see it actually happening where it's positive. What the heck? Well, the reason is that, like I mentioned, the flywheel effect, right? We're essentially finding the sweet spot for customers. We're essentially seeing like customers' willingness to buy with the value that you're offering on the marketplace being married for the first time and coming together.
Mm.
And that has a beautiful impact on rank. And you can see what happened here is then we saw that there was even more demand and more pricing power. So we surged pricing here. Now we recently come back down a little bit, but this is a 7-figure profit capture opportunity that we
Wow.
nailed for this specific client. And that is the story.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everyone's looking for, right?
Totally.
Figuring out. And what I love about that is that, I mean, the product was the same before, the product was the same afterwards. It was just, the testing to see where should we be, what can we
Mm-hmm.
achieve, and stuff like that.
And like I said, it's really about. I said at the beginning of the call that it's all about shaking what your mama gave you. You don't need to actually spend more with price. You can iterate on it, and it'll deliver you huge gains. But you have to know what you're doing.
How does the seller analyze the competitors' pricing strategies?
Well, you can only see so a few things. One is you can see how competitors react to your price changes. You can
Hmm.
see what happens to their BSR. So in that spreadsheet I was mentioning earlier that I'm giving away to people listening in that email me, you can essentially put in your competitor's BSR, where it was, where it is, and you track this on a daily basis. You can see what their positioning is. You can track their price and their inventory. You can track all these things in a spreadsheet, and you can see how they're reacting, if at all, to price changes that you're making. Because
I think,
consumers aren't making decisions. Shoppers don't make decisions on Amazon in silos, right? They're seeing what else is on page one
Mm,
on the SERP and making decisions thereafter.
yeah. Combination of pricing reviews, I mean, looking at really quickly, okay, what do I want to click through, your image, all of that type of stuff, helping you to make that decision. Um, how can sellers price their product in order to make sure that they have the buy box? Because you showed that graph where you guys kind of took a significant, is that affecting your buy box there?
Well, we only work with sellers or brands that actually own the buy box, and there's no competitors in the buy box. So we don't work with resellers.
Okay.
We're strictly a private label repricer. We're actually the first to ever exist that actually delivers on our promise.
Okay, I like that. Now, how can sellers use the psychological pricing techniques to influence their buyers?
Yeah, so there's different prices you can set up. We do this automatically at Profasee, but there's something called charm pricing. This is psychological pricing, and that allows you to set prices at specific numbers or below a round number, really. So essentially, instead of saying $4, it'll be $3.99, which
Yes.
grabs more attention. Or um, instead of pricing at $10.02, it goes to $10.25, as an example.
Mm,
So we actually bake in this method of charm pricing into our system. A lot of times it ends in 9, right? But
yeah.
yeah.
What about, yeah, the odd even pricing on sales?
Yeah,
Is
so same thing, right? So you can do 99, 97. Uh, yeah.
is charm pricing then the equivalent of odd even pricing on sales? I'm less familiar with the charm pricing terminology, so I'm just trying to
Yeah,
understand.
it's just psychological impact of pricing, right? So essentially,
Okay.
again, instead of like our system, which is dynamic, pricing it at a weird number, we're trying to keep it holistically within
Mm,
this psychological pricing around those price points that
okay.
aren't weird. You're not like, wait a minute, what is this 2 cents? It's like a weird
Yeah.
number. So it
How
could be
can
25, it could be 29, it could be 27. I think those are the popular ones, I would say.
yeah.
But our system is trained around that.
Now, how can sellers use price bundling to increase sales?
That's a great question. So a few things. I'm a big fan of bundling and kitting. Uh, kitting and bundling, a few things. One is it allows you to increase your overall operating profit when you're doing bundles. Why? Because the FBA fee probably only goes up incrementally. So now
Mm,
you've bundled 2 items instead of bundling one. So it's one pick and pack fee from FBA. And so a lot more money flows down to the bottom line. Now, there's different pricing strategies on Amazon, like lost leader strategies and decoy pricing strategies. These are all price strategies that we accommodate in the platform, but you as a seller can set them up. So a popular one that I like to refer to is you've got a garlic press. If you want, I can share my screen again. So let's just use a garlic press. Now, there might be like a deal right now that's running. Let's see. So by the way, like if you just look at garlic press for the sponsored results here, you can see that the pricing is all over the place. Now, how do you
yeah.
know that $54 is the right number or $24.95 is the right number, 23? Nobody knows what the right optimal number is. Are they leaving money on the table, up or down? So this is really where we excel. So let's just go to Zule, who's having his Black Friday deal, $8.99. This is, and you can see here across the way, you can see an $8.99 deal. Now, this is the loss leader strategy, right? This
Yeah.
is the idea that you've got an $8.99 gateway drug to get you in. And then now he upsells you on other price variations, rose gold for $16.99, chrome silver for $15.99. And so we can do this exact same strategy and do this automatically for you far better than a human can. So,
Absolutely.
so this is like one example of a loss leader strategy. And then, of course, sometimes you've got a decoy strategy, and I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but a decoy strategy would be here's a 1 pack. It's not FBA and it's $8.99. But then here's a 2 pack and it's $15.99. So you're getting obviously a cheaper deal, and you're getting it literally sometimes same day delivery. So there are these decoy price strategies you can set up where nobody will opt for that lower price and get people to buy up and upsell them.
Okay. I'm fascinated by really the whole philosophy of it, and I don't think sellers are probably thinking enough about what this can do for you in the bundling and stuff, some of that type of stuff. Um, what do you think the role is? Like I noticed that one, with the loss leader had a coupon, or I think it was a lightning deal or coupon, 70% off. What's the role of promotions and discounts within pricing?
So what's the role of it? I mean, I think promotions and discounts are important, right? Coupon codes drive click-through rates. So you have to be aware of your list price and then your coupon code off the list price. Strike-through pricing is also important. Prime exclusive discounts or deals are important. So all of this is all things that a brand must manage and must manage very, very well and build a muscle around it. And it's hard to be great at everything, right? It's really hard, which is
Yeah,
why you need specialists. You need specialty software to help with that or tools in your tool bag.
yeah. How can you avoid price wars on Amazon?
Well, price wars, I mean, there is pricing pressure across many, many categories on Amazon, right? But just because your competitors are going down in price doesn't mean it's actually the right decision. So a lot of times ego gets in the way of making rational decisions when it comes down to business stuff. And so the pricing decision should really be based on data, based on like, hey, what's happening with our conversion rate? What's happening with our sessions? Are we trying to optimize for unit velocity or profit? And uh, are there changes? Are their changes actually affecting us?
Yeah,
Or, for example, there's a more advanced strategy that I can share, which is really about the fact that I believe that price and advertising really should be united together.
mm,
So price dictates spend. And so if I increase price 20%, I now have the ability to increase my spend 20% and naturally can double my contribution profit dollars. So I have examples I can show you around this, but this is what I'm talking about. That it's not necessarily just about what the competitor does and just dropping price because that's not always the right decision.
yeah, and I think that's the other thing to take into consideration is that the higher price gives you the amount to be sponsoring product and promoting product and doing some of that that's going to increase your click through. Um, What if you're okay, like you showed us the garlic presses. What if you're like launching a new product launch and you're looking at things and there's this wide vast of pricing? How do you determine where you fall in that with all of the other sellers?
Yeah, so everyone has their own launch strategy, but I think that you need to lose money to win money on Amazon, especially when you're launching a product. So the way that I would specifically launch is I would probably look at the average selling price and try to be 50% below that.
Mm,
That's where I would begin with a rank and launch strategy specifically. Like a lot of people use PPC, but lever happens to be the lever, a sensitive lever, which is pricing, actually is a great way to launch and just coming down super low on price where someone's like, this is a no brainer.
yeah. Now, how long do you have to stay at that? I mean, what are we looking for? What needs to move in order for us to be able to pricing? Is it just
Yeah.
product? Are we looking at our bestseller ranking? What are we watching in order
Well,
to see?
yep. So let me share my screen again. Let me know if you can see it. So do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here's Zule, and he's actually really, really good with price strategy. And let's go down here. So this is for the year, right? You can see there's a lot of price changes happening. And you can see when he first launched. So if we actually zoom in right here, you can see when he first launched in 2019 and he went super low, 745. Now, if you look at
Mm,
the average selling price right now of a garlic press, right, you can see that this is pretty much a third, or sometimes a half of. I mean, it's Black Friday deals happening right
Yeah,
now. But it's still, even a Black Friday deal isn't giving you it for 745. And
right.
this is a deal of a century of the century, right? $7.45. Like he's losing money on those, in my opinion. I mean, I've done an analysis that I posted on LinkedIn where we actually did an interview too around it, where he says he wasn't losing money, but separately, my analysis showed that he lost a lot of money and now he's making a whole lot of money.
Mm,
And he did this strictly with price changes. And look at his rank now, right? Look at that rank. That's beautiful. If I actually zoom in here,
yeah,
you can see how low that gets. That's a sexy rank right there.
yeah, no kidding. Gotta love it, right?
And then right now he's at a rank of 167 on the entire Amazon marketplace. 153. He's pretty much held this title, held his rank for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and he's building his brand and his brand name at the same time. Uh, you know, because the people who are getting it, the ones that got it for the great deal, are like, oh my gosh, this is like the best, right? And of course, part of that is psychological because they got it for such a great price, but it's something that they share. It may just be, wow, this was just like the best price. I mean, the best garlic press I got. Um, so, how do you measure the effectiveness of a pricing strategy? Is it by bestseller rank?
Well, so first of all, it depends on the intention, right? So if your intention is to make you a whole lot more money without hurting your ranking position, it's a profit optimization strategy. If you're wanting to drive unit velocity, which has a knock-on effect on your ranking position, you can set that up in our platform. Or if you want to ultimately just make more revenue, we also can set that up. So different intentions, we look at different results. We look at your P&L. We look at how, as I showed you with Mina's example, right? How did our price changes impact your profit, and how did that profit not correlate any longer with what happened historically?
Yeah, yeah. What about Amazon's pricing tools? Can they help optimize the strategy?
No, because like Amazon, what does Amazon want? Amazon wants the lowest price all the time, guaranteed. And actually, Amazon wants to show you what you make, but they don't want to show you what you keep. So
Yeah,
our platform is, we're a partner of Amazon, right? We're in the App Store. So I'm not going to say bad things. I'll just say that our platform is antithetical to what Amazon wants for a seller.
yeah.
You want lowest price for the customer, best thing for the customer, and we want what's best for the seller, what's best for the brand that's going to make you the most amount of money and turn that into cash flow.
Yeah, and I think that is just a great place for us to end this conversation today about cash flow and how important it is for everyone in the pricing strategies that play into it. I really want to thank you for joining us today on Ecom Insiders. This is sponsored by SPC Tech. Our guest speaker again, Chad Rubin. If you have questions, please leave them below. Chad gave you his email address, chad@profasee.com. If you have specific questions, and he offered you a spreadsheet that can help you in your first analysis and stuff like that. If you enjoyed today's session, please make sure you subscribe to future editions of Ecom Insiders. Thank you again, Chad, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It
All
was
right.
awesome.